Look, let's just set the scene for a second. It's late at night, the bathroom light is glaringly, almost unforgivingly bright. You feel the cold tiles right under your feet. You step onto the scale, and honestly, deep down, you already kind of know what it's going to say, but you still hope, right? You hold your breath, and then that digital number flashes. Maybe it's slightly different than yesterday, or maybe, and this is the crushing part, it's exactly the same. In that quiet, isolated moment, something inside you just quietly collapses. And it's not because you're weak. It's not because you failed. It's because you did everything right, you played by all the rules, and your body still didn't respond the way you expected. Well, in this explainer, we're going to reveal exactly why that happens.
In that heavy midnight silence, a dangerous, really insidious thought starts forming in your mind. Maybe my body is just broken. It's basically an identity crisis disguised as a fitness problem. I mean, think about it. We live in this modern world totally addicted to instant dopamine and input-output guarantees. You track the meals, you put in the grueling hours, you literally sacrifice your social life, but the reflection in the mirror and the number on the display refuse to budge. The modern anxiety of feeling entirely out of control inside your own skin just takes over. You start to feel completely betrayed by the very vessel you live in.
But what if it's actually protecting you? I really want you to let that sink in for a second. What if the truth behind your frustration is actually far more unsettling and, honestly, far more beautiful than a broken metabolism? What if your body isn't ignoring your hard work at all, but actively, desperately shielding you from what it perceives as a life-threatening danger? Welcome to the profound, hidden psychology of fat loss. This is a story not of defiance, but of pure survival.
Okay, so let's dive right into this. For decades, we've all been sold the exact same golden rule, right? Calories in, calories out. But guys, this is a massive mathematical oversimplification of biological survival. Inside your body, absolutely nothing about survival is simple math. You literally cannot run a spreadsheet on a living organism. When you cut calories to lose weight, you are communicating with a 10,000-year-old biological system that has absolutely zero interest in how you look on a beach or in a mirror. There is this total, almost comical disconnect between your conscious mind and your biology. Your modern, aesthetic-driven mind says, great, we're in a calorie deficit, let's burn some belly fat. But deep down, your biological brain is literally screaming, warning, energy supply is dropping rapidly. We are entering a period of famine and scarcity. Protect the reserves at all costs. Your body's response to dieting isn't some kind of emotional rebellion against you. It's a deeply ingrained, highly evolved survival protocol kicking into overdrive. Which brings us to section 1, the first curveball, the illusion of speed. When you first start trying to lose weight, something almost magical happens, and it tragically sets you up for emotional devastation just a few weeks later. The scale drops rapidly. You celebrate, thinking, yes, I've totally cracked the code. The dopamine hits are absolutely incredible. But let's look at what is actually dropping here. It's mostly glycogen depletion, which is just stored carbohydrates in your liver and muscles. And with those carbs goes a massive amount of water weight. Add in the reduced physical food volume sitting in your digestive tract, and finally, way down at the very bottom of the list, a tiny fractional sliver of actual fat. That early thrilling victory, it's just an illusion of a perfect linear fat loss curve. And then, suddenly, the progress just stops. You haven't changed your routine, you are still grinding, but the scale just completely freezes. Most people panic right here. They think their metabolism has crashed. But your body isn't getting weaker, it's actually getting smarter. It's shifted into this highly sophisticated adaptation mode. It subconsciously lowers your daily spontaneous movement, meaning you fidget less, you blink slower, you sit more heavily, and it heavily reduces your energy expenditure just to become hyper-efficient. It's basically closing ranks to keep you alive. So if the journey isn't a straight line, what exactly is it? Let's look at section 2, the rooms of fat, a biological map. I want you to imagine that your body fat isn't just one big uniform storage tank, but actually a sprawling city full of locked rooms. First, energy is stored in these different rooms. Second, blood flow and cell receptors dictate exactly how easily a room can be opened. And third, your hormones and genetics completely determine the exact order those rooms are unlocked. So you might actually be losing fat, but your body is emptying the rooms in an order you don't really like, temporarily redistributing fluids and creating this agonizing illusion of zero progress, or even making you look worse for a short period of time. It's biological architecture, not failure. And that painful visual illusion, well, that brings us right to the psychological breaking point. That leads into section 3, the emotional trap, the perfect curve. Because of that early success we talked about, we naturally expect our progress to look like a smooth, effortless downward slope. But here is the raw, erratic reality. Week 1 is fast loss. Then week 3 hits you with a stubborn, totally immovable plateau. By week 5, it's an agonizingly slow crawl. Suddenly, out of absolutely nowhere in week 7, a massive drop, only to be followed by another brutal plateau in week 9. Honestly, the human mind just isn't built to handle this. We interpret every single plateau as a total personal failure, triggering incredible burnout, massive anxiety, and the overwhelming urge to just throw in the towel and quit entirely.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is understanding what is actually happening behind that terrifying plateau. Look, your scale is not a magic fat detector. It is a clumsy, blind snapshot of your total gravitational mass. A plateau is usually just temporary water retention. Or, and this is incredibly ironic, it's a huge spike in cortisol, the stress hormone, because you're stressing so much over the scale not moving that the stress itself causes water retention, which literally masks your fat loss. The fat is burning, but the water is hiding it. The progress is there, silently happening, completely invisible to the machine you're standing on.
Moving on to section 4, the escalation, stages of resistance. Let's see how this builds, because it actually gets even more complex. You see, fat loss isn't some universal, one-size-fits-all experience. There are essentially 3 entirely different realities living inside human bodies. In the high range, your body has massive energy reserves. The biological response allows for rapid early changes, and the psychological pressure remains relatively low because, well, the scale actually moves. But drop into the mid-range, and the whole system gets sensitive. Fluctuations increase, the margin for error shrinks, and the mental pressure hits medium. Then, we hit the leaner range. Here, the body stops treating fat loss as a helpful change and starts managing it as a critical survival risk. The biological resistance skyrockets, and the psychological pressure becomes agonizingly high because every single ounce feels like a brutal, exhausting battle against nature. And if you push even further, you hit the extreme, the very lean stage. At this point, the system vehemently and aggressively prioritizes survival over your desire for aesthetics. Aggressive caloric restriction completely backfires here. Your body becomes hyperprotective, fiercely guarding its absolute last reserves. So the only real strategy left isn't intensity or punishment. It's stability. It's finding a way to operate without causing massive metabolic panic. It's an entirely different psychological and biological game. And this brings us to the emotional climax of this entire explainer.
Section 5. The paradigm shift. Redefining progress.
Your body is not fighting you out of spite or malice or brokenness. It is driven by profound, incredibly ancient priorities. It is trying to protect your vital organs. It is fighting tooth and nail to preserve life-saving energy reserves. It desperately wants to maintain hormonal stability so you can actually function and prevent excessive tissue loss so you don't, well, die. Even the visceral fat around your organs is metabolically prioritized over that subcutaneous fat you pinch in the mirror. Your body isn't sabotaging your goals, it is performing a miraculous, complex dance just to keep you breathing.
So the crucial step here is a fundamental psychological shift. You have got to stop viewing your body as an enemy that requires punishment, starvation, and strict discipline. Instead, you need to awaken to reality. Your body is a beautifully sensitive system that requires strategy and immense respect. You have to transform this journey from a state of exhausting emotional warfare into a state of profound physiological cooperation. Because the truth is, the scale will always just show you a hollow number. It will never, ever be able to show you the truth of the invisible systems running right beneath your skin. It cannot show you the microscopic shifting of water inside your cells. It can't map out your hormones adapting to a whole new environment, or your fat patiently redistributing itself across those biological rooms we talked about. It absolutely cannot measure a magnificent metabolism recalibrating itself just to keep your heart beating steadily through the night. So maybe, late at night, standing on those cold tiles, staring down at that glowing digital number that dictates so much of your self-worth, maybe the real question was never, why am I not losing weight? Maybe the life-changing question we should be asking ourselves is simply this: am I reading the signals correctly? Your body was never confused. It was never broken. It was just communicating in an ancient, protective language you were never taught to speak. And once you finally learn that language, a profound, permanent shift happens. The daily friction and frustration of the process doesn't magically disappear, no, but it transforms. It transforms into absolute clarity. You realize you are no longer a victim, trapped inside a broken machine. Thank you for exploring this hidden world with me today. In this explainer, you are the architect of a brilliant surviving machine. So the next time you step on that scale in the dark, what will you choose to see?